So on this 76 911, we have a problem where the owner was trying to wind up the passenger side window. The knob broke off, and now all that happens is it spins. So we're going to pull the door panel off and pull the window frame out, which is what you got to do to get in here. I'm assuming this is most likely still got the parallel arm window regulators in it, which Porsche knew were a problem for a very long time. They updated them in the 80s to the scissor style, which is most likely where this job's going to end up. But first step, get the door panel off, see what's going on in there so I can quote my customer. So normally these are all just held on with screws. When people use different fasteners, it just really slows the job down. This is some 1/4 inch something or other. So bear in mind, when you have missing parts, try and find the right screws. It'll make it easier for the next time. This one, the guys added some tape to help hold it on, and that's because this is just kind of warped. This is pressed cardboard. These are available aftermarket in a fiberglass one that work pretty nice, so that's something else you can think of. So now we're just going to take out all of our little adapters, and this is more mid-70s year. In the later models, say like the 911 SCs, these are screwed directly in through the door pocket. Okay, so with those pieces off, next I got to take the handle off, speakers out, and the crank handle off. Speakers should be held in with Phillips heads, though this is another area that can get messed up because over the years people put different speakers in and stereos in, and a lot of these installers are not the greatest. So here's a good example of somebody that thought they were doing an excellent job, but it just really sucks because they're not giving any thought to service. And what they've done is they have soldered these connections on, is what it feels like. So we're going to peel this back. Normally these are a plug-in, and they have two different types of terminals so you don't mess up the speaker polarity. On some of the radios, if you plug the speakers in wrong, you can mess it up. Nope, they didn't even solder it. They have just twisted the wire through and electrical taped it. So we're going to have to fix that when we put it all back together with the correct terminals. So for right now, I'm just going to cut that off. So to get our door handle off, there's two things. Underneath, you're going to see the linkage right here, and it has a little plastic ball socket. You should just be able to press it up, and then this part will fold out. There's two 5mm Allen head screws in here, and then again up here to get these off. Okay, I've just popped the plastic cover off of my crank handle. There's a flathead screw here that we need to undo to get this off. So it looks like on the inside one it was not attached properly, and it feels like it was cross-threaded. As you can see, we got two bolts that stick through, and this one can be a little bit difficult to get to, and the last guy didn't install it correctly. Okay, there's our door panel. These clips often break. As you can see, I'm missing my clips on this end. This one stuck in the door, and not one there. But the door panel's looking pretty old and ratty, so can be a little tough. So these plastic door liners, which this one's all ripped because somebody went in there, these are actually really important. They stop the door panel from warping, or help stop the door panel from warping. And their whole purpose is to seal moisture, because moisture will get inside the door while you're in here. If you look down on the inside here, there are a series of door drains. Another one's back over here.
Oh, there it is.
And while you're in there, you always want to make sure those are clear. That allows water to drain out. Okay, so this is our window regulator right here. And this is our crank handle. We got nothing moving when I spin it. So we can see this isn't going anywhere. I'm going to put on the special edition tape to hold the window, stop it dropping. So what we're going to have to do now is get this window regulator out and see what's broken on it. Once again, parallel arms. You can see the two arms that are coming back on an angle. We'll see it better when it comes out. And the update on that is to replace it with a scissor arm. Looks like an X. Need to add a support bracket here. There is in the shop manual instructions on, because you have to drill a couple of pivot points and adjustment points here, and a template that you could use to line up on the door to do this job. Okay, so I've got my regulator loose. Got to be super careful when you're doing this job, because there's lots of pinch points where you can really hurt yourself if you're in the wrong place. Just got to undo the bottom window mount. This is going to give me some room to get the regulator out. And then what I need to do is slide the regulator arms all the way to the back and pop them out. That may be a little bit of a problem with the fact that the regulator won't actually turn. So normally I won't pull the door frame out until I'm going to go ahead and install the updated parts. But with this one, just because of the way the regulator is, I may not be able to get the regulator off the window in time to see what's actually broken, so I'll pull the door frame early. So inside here, this is a support bracket, and it has a large hole here because this controls the tilt on the window back and forth. But what it was doing is my window regulator is hitting on top of this and it won't let it drop down. Okay, yep. So the pivot, which is the most common failure point on these, has completely broken. And it's also broken to where it ripped the peen off of it. So this is actually flown apart, and this actually came out of the crank handle area. So that's why when you turned it, nothing happened. Now, even if, and you can sometimes buy, though I don't know if they're still available, there used to be a pivot kit that you could buy to replace this pivot. There's 3 different types, so you have to know the orientation of it. and it allows you to fix that pivot. But however, the style of window regulator is just not very good. This is normally how it's gonna sit, somewhere around there. And what happens is, as you wind these up, they'll actually twist and pivot and distort and make all kinds of different movements. So this one, it's blown up. I'm going to quote him for the updated window regulator assembly. To do the update, you also do have to pull this piece of glass out. They do use a different guide channel than what's installed with these ones. So we'll quote it and see what he wants to do. Okay, so we've got approval from our customer to update his window regulator. In the shop manual, they give the dimensions. We've got to add 2 holes for the secondary support slide, which is this piece right here. And it's given us these dimensions. I also need to pull the entire piece of glass out. I'll do that first before I start drilling and doing anything, because I do need to replace the rail on the bottom of the window. I got it. Worn out. All right, so I'm just going to use a sheet metal drill to go through here. We did check the measurement on, this is a Dansk window regulator, which is the first time I've used a Dansk. Very important that the 195 dimension that they give us between centers was not on the Dansk. It was actually 215 in millimeters. So I have split the difference on those hole centers. Might be a good idea to check yours before you do it. Got my 6mm bolt. Nope, next one. Nice. And then for my next one, I'm just going to go directly above it. And you do need to be careful. There is a cable here for your interior door latch. So I just made sure I lifted it up with my fingers before I drilled through, and I'll just connect this with my file. So I should have my slots for my window. I'm just going to go and put my window regulator in. This is a lot easier with the window frame being out. Well, that's making a huge difference. Okay, so I've got it all in there, just lubricating it, working it up and down. I had to give this one a slight flex, but because it was hitting on the other arm as it went past. But once the glass goes in, this will kind of pull out a little bit anyways. And then I was just making sure it's running nicely along our rail here, which it looks like it is. Getting some lubrication. It doesn't come with a lot of lubrication on it, which seems kind of weird to me. They have the opportunity to lube it when they build it, and they don't. Okay, so this rail needs to come off of this glass, and all it is, it's just pressed on. There's a little rubber gasket that holds it in place, and this is the one that I hate doing the most because there is a risk of the window breaking. When the rubber is extended far enough, I can usually get onto the rubber and pry it a little bit.
The rubber shrunk. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. Try and avoid any pressure points that could cause the glass to break.
Worse gets corroded.
Yeah, this was a lot easier when these were new. There it is, it's starting to come. Sorry. So these used to come off a lot easier when these cars were only 8 or 10 years old, but when they're 45 plus years old, these are pretty sticky. You can see how the rubber would rusted to the rail as well, so I had to just carefully go in and release it from the rail on both sides.
It's just not for the faint of heart.
There we have it. So when we put the new rail on, it has to be 8 millimeters from the front of the tip of the glass. And you've also got to make sure that you orientate the rail the correct direction as well. Okay, so we just used some soap and water as a lubricant. The soap and water will dry up. You don't want to use grease because grease won't evaporate or dry up. And once this thing evaporates, it will lock it into this rubber seal to where it won't budge. I just don't like how it's like this.
Maybe we should have tried the rail on before we put the glass on. More lube.
Yeah, once I get the whole thing in, I will. I might have to drop the window regulator loose.
Oh.
Who has just that glasses anyway? Not very happy with that. Great, no more tight spot. So I'm pretty much done with our window regulator, and it was really a battle. This is the first time I've used the Dansk window regulator. I would not use one again. Any savings in price I ate up in having to remove the window regulator and refit it. The railing on the bottom of the window was genuine Porsche. The window regulator was a Dansk. They didn't meet together very well. I had to bend and twist everything in there. It was poorly lubricated as well from the factory. It was really stiff to operate, and it just took probably a good solid 8 hours to do this job when I can reliably do it in 3.5, start to finish. So something to consider. Pay now, pay later. The genuine ones are still available, but they are twice the price. On this one, unfortunately, I paid the price. So I'm going to put our vapor barrier on. The old one that came out was really just thrashed. Just using some painter's plastic, because that's what I have in the shop. And I'm going to hit it with some spray glue and then press this on. I'll make a little slit to get my speaker wires out. I repaired my speaker wires, put 2 connectors on it with insulators so they'll actually plug in this time instead of being wrapped around. And everything inside the door is being well lubricated. I vacuumed out the doors, make sure everything was clean in there, didn't leave anything behind. Alright, so just keep your glue away from the mechanisms, otherwise it won't work so good. And really straightforward. You're still going to have penetrations, like where the wires come through and the speaker's going to actually push in here anyways. Same for our door handle release, but at least we can minimize the amount of penetrations through this door and help that moisture from getting from inside the door onto that door panel. So when it comes to the window crank handles, when the window's all the way up, I like them kind of just pointing towards the front, but you can put them wherever you want. Well, that wraps it up for our window operation. Thanks again for watching.